Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Hamas skeptical on attending ceasefire negotiations in Cairo or Doha on Thursday. Israel says it would send negotiators to take part in the meeting. Amid growing threats from Kyiv, Moscow evacuates parts of second region. 11,000 people so far evacuated from Krasnaya Yaruga district alone. An emergency warning issued after Typhoon Maria made a landfall in Japan's northern region on Iwate on Monday. Qatar, Egypt and the US are trying yet again to help Israel and Hamas agree on a peace deal. Hamas wants the US president's ceasefire plan for Gaza to be put into action instead of having more talks. However, Hamas is unsure if it will attend a meeting on Thursday in Cairo or Doha because of the recent killing of its top leader Ismail Haniyeh. Meanwhile, Israel has agreed to send representatives to the meeting. Israel expanded evacuation orders in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza Strip overnight. The Israeli military said it was attacking operatives from the Hamas group, which administered Gaza before the conflict, who were using those areas to stage attacks and fire rockets. The Israeli military said it had struck a Hamas command post and killed 19 operatives. To counter potential threats from Iran and its allies, the United States has ordered a guided missile submarine to West Asia and the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier strike group to sail more quickly to the area. On Sunday evening, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin issued the order after a phone conversation with Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant as tensions escalated following the deaths of top Hamas and Hezbollah officials. The USS Georgia submarine was already in the Mediterranean Sea in July, as announced by a U.S. military post on social media. It is rare for the U.S. to publicly announce the deployment of a submarine. A U.S. carrier strike group is centered around an aircraft carrier. The group is composed of a flotilla of supporting ships and aircraft to operate together as a cohesive and powerful military force. The aircraft carrier is a floating airbase capable of launching and recovering aircraft, including airstrikes, reconnaissance, and air superiority operations. Here's a report by Akhilesh Suman on their strength and importance of presence in the seas.
In the tense West Asian region, US is deploying its two major nuclear-powered carrier groups and a nuclear-powered submarine. The major show of US naval might include two aircraft carrier strike groups, USS Abraham Lincoln and USS Theodore Roosevelt. USS Abraham Lincoln is capable of supporting a wide range of military operations, including airstrikes, intelligence gathering and humanitarian missions. The ship is also equipped with F-35C stealth fighters. USS Theodore Roosevelt is also a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. It is already in the region since the situation deteriorated and is maintaining a deterrent posture. It serves as a key asset for the U.S. Navy's ability to maintain a forward-deployed presence and respond to crisis. USS Georgia is a nuclear-powered submarine with Tomahawk cruise missiles, allowing it to conduct precision strikes. USS Georgia's stealth and firepower make it an important tool for strategic deterrence. These vessels together form a powerful and flexible naval force. The deployment of these military assets by the U.S. Defense Department to the Central Command or the CENTCOM area displays substantial increase in American military presence and readiness in the tense West Asian region. The deployment solves a dual purpose for the U.S. It is a warning to Iran and its allies in the region and also reassures Israel that U.S. is firming up its ironclad guarantee to Israel defense with actual large-scale deployment. Akhilesh Suman's report for DD India.
Meanwhile, Iran's Revolutionary Guard is conducting military exercises in the western part of the country, which began on 9th of August and will last until 13th of August, according to the official news agency. The drills taking place in the Kermanshah province near the Iraqi border aim to boost military preparedness and alertness. This comes as Iran and Hamas blame Israel for the July 31 assassination of Haniyeh, which Israel has neither confirmed nor denied. DD India's Sarah Coates has sent this report from Tel Aviv.
Certainly a lot of concern that this promised retaliation from Iran, from Hezbollah, could come as early as Monday. While there's been no change to the directive on the ground for Israelis, the chief of Israel's Air Force has announced that service members are now barred from travelling abroad following a situational assessment. Now, we also need to add, of course, that the United States is accelerating the deployment of other hardware to the Middle East. The Pentagon announcing this after a phone conversation between Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and the US Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin overnight. We can expect the USS Abraham Lincoln to arrive in the Middle East very soon. Well, he made a rare move, Lloyd Austin, of actually announcing that a guided missile submarine, this is the Georgia, is already in the region and is preparing. Now, this, of course, comes ahead of these anticipated ceasefire and hostage talks that are expected to happen on Thursday. But at this hour, it does remain unclear as to whether Hamas will actually send a delegation to participate in these talks, with the group overnight releasing a statement saying that it now wants to negotiate based on past talks and not enter into a new round of negotiations. Now, Hamas cited a number of reasons for this. Number one is the assassination of the head of its Politburo, Ismail Haniyeh, and also fresh strikes in Gaza. We've got a statement here from Hamas. It says that the movement calls on the mediators to submit a plan and implement what they presented to the movement and approved on July 2nd, based on Joe Biden's vision and the UN Security Council resolution. There had been a lot of hope that potentially if a ceasefire was reached, if these two warring parties, Israel and Hamas, were able to potentially bridge these gaps and there was a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, that this could potentially bring down tensions in other parts of the region and potentially avert a wider scale regional war. Reporting from Tel Aviv, I'm Sarah Coates for DD India.
Earlier, Russia's air defense destroyed 11 drones that Ukraine launched on the intervening night of Sunday and Monday, targeting the border Kursk region. Russian air defense units also destroyed 5 of the Ukraine-launched drones over the Belgorod region, which also borders Ukraine, and 2 over the Voronezh region. Meanwhile, seeing the high activity on its border regions, Russia on Monday evacuated parts of and around the Belgorod region next to Ukraine. As per state news agency TASS, Russia has evacuated 11,000 people from Belgorod border district. Ukrainian forces rammed through the Russian border last week and swept across some western parts of Russia's Kursk region, which came as a surprise attack apparently aimed at gaining leverage in possible ceasefire talks after the US election. Belgorod Oblast governor has announced on Monday that residents of a district located on the border with Ukraine would be evacuated due to reported activity of the Ukrainian army in the area amid tense situation at the border regions of Russia and Ukraine after the Ukrainian military launched a surprise incursion across the border into Kursk Oblast on August 6th, bringing regular Ukrainian forces into Russia for the first time. All right, and DD India's Dasha Chernashova joins us live from Moscow for more. Dasha, reports coming in that Kyiv is again advancing into Russian territory. What is the update you're getting for us?
Well, we have just heard the Russian president holding a meeting with the heads of 3 border regions as well as other officials. The understanding in Russia at the moment is that the goal for the Russian military is to hold the advance of the Ukrainian military any deeper into the Kursk region. According to the acting governor of the Kursk region, who was just speaking, the Ukrainian troops now are in control of 28 settlements in the Kursk region. He also has said that 120,000 people have already been evacuated from the region, and also we've heard about evacuations taking place in the Belgorod region. 10,000 people have already been evacuated from there as well. Speaking about the situation in Kursk, we're also hearing that the Russian president said there is no doubt that Russia will be able to take back the control of its lands, and he said that the goal of the Ukrainian military when they started this operation, this incursion in Kursk, was to improve their negotiating positions. But he said that's not going to happen because there is nothing to talk about with the people who fire at civilians. He has also said that another goal of the Ukrainian military when they embarked on this incursion was actually to spread the concerns, the fears, and the disagreement among the Russian population. But he said again that was not happening because the Russian society was united. And again, he said Russians are not intimidated by what is happening. So at the moment, the understanding is that with the situation rapidly developing, the Russian forces are trying to reinforce and to make sure there is no further advancement of the Ukrainian side. In the meantime, Russian officials are evacuating the residents from those border regions to save their lives and to make sure that the military have enough room for maneuver in those territories.
All right. Thank you so much for your analysis. The Biden administration has unveiled the Time is Money initiative on Monday, which incorporates new rules and efforts targeting consumer annoyances ranging from hard to cancel subscriptions, cumbersome insurance forms, and not being able to get a live customer service agent on phone. The Time is Money initiative is aimed at cracking down on endless hold times or deliberately complicated procedures that cost consumers, as per US President Joe Biden's domestic policy advisor, Neera Tanden. An emergency warning has been issued after Typhoon Maria made a landfall in Japan's northern region of Iwate on Monday. Torrential rain has disrupted flights and rail services, and people have been forced to evacuate homes in some areas. Though no casualties have been reported, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has extended support to the evacuees. Japan's meteorological agency has warned of risks from mudslides and floods in some cities of the region. The storm is expected to move towards the Sea of Japan with maximum wind speeds of 72 km per hour. Heavy rains brought by Tropical Storm Maria have triggered top-level emergency warnings in some regions of northern Japan. Officials say it's just the third such storm to hit that part of the country's Pacific coast since records began. DD India's East Asia correspondent William Denslow reports.
For a period of several hours on Monday, parts of the city of Kuji in Japan were under a level 5 emergency alert. That is the highest level of alert in the country, as some 8,000 or so residents were facing what was described under this advisory as life-threatening conditions as Tropical Storm Maria hit parts of northern Japan, bringing with it a huge deluge. It's estimated, according to the Japanese Meteorological Agency, that over 350 millimeters of rain, that's roughly 14 inches, fell in just a 24-hour period. There are concerns, according to officials, that such levels of rain could bring with it the possibility of landslides as well as rivers breaking their banks. This came during an incredibly busy travel weekend in Japan. This is what is seen by many as the second largest holiday weekend of the year, behind New Year, as people travel to their family homes across the country to pay their respects to relatives that have passed away. However, officials are warning people to remain vigilant, keep watching for travel advisories because of Tropical Storm Maria. Now, while people are watching what's happening when it comes to meteorological updates, there are seismic updates that people have been asked to be on alert for as well. This after earlier this month a 7.1 magnitude earthquake hit off Japan, and many officials are warning of the possibility of a so-called mega quake that could be on the horizon. William Denslow in Hong Kong reporting for DD India.
A fast-moving wildfire fueled by gale-force winds spread to the edge of Athens on Monday, torching trees, houses and cars and forcing evacuations of several hospitals and a dozen towns and villages. More than 500 firefighters, 152 vehicles, 29 water-bombing aircraft and large number of volunteers are working to extinguish the blaze which broke out Sunday near the town of Varnavis, north of Athens. Strong winds were constantly changing the direction of the fire, and the extent of the area engulfed by flames was estimated at 30 kilometers. Firefighting aircraft resumed operations early on Monday after an overnight pause. Police say they had helped evacuate at least 250 people in danger. In Libya, the Libyan Red Crescent evacuated a flooded hospital in Kufra on Sunday as intense rains are reported to have caused widespread damage in the area. The Mater Atia Al-Qaseh teaching hospital was closed as several centimeters of water flooded corridors and wards. Patients, including 3 pediatric and 8 intensive care cases, were evacuated successfully. The flooding in southeastern Libya follows days of heavy rain and has caused widespread damage. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. More injured Rohingyas arrive in Bangladesh as the war between Myanmar's military and the Arakan army intensifies. After a week of work absence, police officials in Bangladesh returned to work on Monday. Global youth unemployment has hit a 15-year low.
We have with us a very special guest, Olympic bronze medalist Swapnil Kusale. When we talk about you and your journey from TTE to an Olympic bronze medalist,
journey is quite long and lots of challenges I faced, but it's a good journey for me till now, so I'm happy.
You got a call from Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
He called and say Namaskar Bhau, kaise aap, like in Marathi language, so it was good to hear that.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. Rohingya refugees are pouring into Bangladesh with injuries from the intensifying conflict in Myanmar's Rakhine state, where the military is clashing with the ethnic militia Arakan army, according to the international medical group Doctors Without Borders. The group treated 39 people in Bangladesh for conflict injuries, including mortar and gunshot wounds. Most were women and children, making up over 40% of the total. After a week of work abstention, police officials in Bangladesh have returned to work on Monday. Attacks were held on many police stations across Bangladesh after former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina fled the country. Citing safety concerns, police forces were on a strike, due to which students had to manage traffic on the roads. After meeting the home advisor of the new interim government, the decision was taken to change the uniform and the logo. It was decided any attack on police officers would no longer be tolerated, and complaints against any police official must be reported to higher authorities. Well, in a good news, global youth unemployment has hit a 15-year low and is expected to continue falling until 2025, according to a new report from the International Labour Organization. At 64.9 million, the total number of unemployed young people worldwide in 2023 was at 13%, a fall from the pre-pandemic rate of 13.8% in 2019. The ILO predicts a further decline in youth unemployment rates to 12.8% in both 2024 and 2025. The strong economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic has boosted demand for young workers, driving the improvement in the youth employment market. European shares began with a hike after certain turbulence last week that caused a massive sell-off to the global markets and currencies. The situation improved with better than expected weekly jobs data in the US.
After severe price turbulence last week, the situation on the DAX has calmed down. We are starting the new trading week on a positive note this morning. Recently, US recession fears have receded somewhat. We saw the US initial jobless claims came in lower than expected. In this respect, the lower market in the US appears to be more robust than the recently assumed. In this respect, the US recession fears are somewhat off the table and we are starting the new week on a positive note.
The Philippines urged Beijing on Monday to heed calls to de-escalate tensions in the South China Sea after what it described as very dangerous actions by its Air Force in airspace over a South China Sea shoal. The incident happened after the two nations agreed to better manage maritime disputes. Manila's military said that two Chinese aircraft executed a dangerous maneuver and dropped flares in the path of Manila's Air Force aircraft conducting a routine patrol over the contested Scarborough Shoal on Thursday. The Philippines National Security Council also called on China to cease all forms of provocative and hazardous acts. The United States and South Korea will conduct more than 10 days of large-scale military drills to strengthen the alliance's combined defense posture. The drills, dubbed Ulchi Freedom Shield, will be held from August 19 to 29. According to officials, the drills will reflect realistic threats such as North's increasing missile threats, global positioning system jamming, cyber attacks, and lessons learned from recent armed conflicts. United Nations Commander member states would contribute military personnel to this exercise. The Neutral Nations Supervisory Commission will conduct third-party observation of this exercise, adhering to responsibilities outlined in the Armistice Agreement. While Copenpay, an environment-friendly scheme in Denmark's capital Copenhagen, came to an end on Sunday. The pilot scheme encouraged tourists for performing tasks such as using public transport, cycling, walking and collecting litter by rewarding them. Free bicycle tours were provided by bike tour company Cycling Copenhagen to visitors who arrived with their own bikes. The scheme began on July 15 and involved 24 attractions and businesses around the city. Established in 2012, the world is observing Elephant Day. The day is an annual international event dedicated to preservation and protection of the elephant's population. Posting photographs of the majestic animal, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended greetings on the World Elephant Day via social media platform X. He wrote, and I quote him, "World Elephant Day is an occasion to appreciate the wide range of community efforts to protect elephants. At the same time, we reaffirm our commitment to doing everything possible to ensure elephants get a conducive habitat where they can thrive. For us in India, the elephant is linked to our culture and history too. And it's gladdening that over the last few years, their numbers have been on the rise." Unquote. In the summer of 2028, Los Angeles will welcome the world for an unparalleled Olympic and Paralympic Games experience as the best athletes from around the globe compete on the biggest stage in sports. The opening ceremony of Olympic Games will take place on July 14, 2028, whereas the opening ceremony of the Paralympic Games will take place on August 15, 2028. Hollywood star Tom Cruise added a cinematic flair to the closing ceremony of the Paris Games, where in a dramatic stunt, he rappelled from the roof of France's National Stadium to receive the Olympic flag, symbolically marking the transition from Paris to Los Angeles as the next Olympic host. The flag's journey through Los Angeles was a celebration of the city's rich history and culture. It passed through the hands of US Olympians, both past and present, as it travelled across the city, culminating a beach party featuring performances by LA music legends like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Billie Eilish and Snoop Dogg alongside Dr. Dre. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass acknowledged the high bar set by Paris but emphasized LA's unique identity as a beacon of diversity. Liverpool thumped Sevilla in a friendly match at Anfield. New coach Arne Slot introduces himself on the big stage in style thanks to Diogo Jota, Luis Diaz and fine finish from young and talented Trey Nioni. Liverpool won the match in convincing fashion. Arne, who took over the coaching duties from legendary boss Jurgen Klopp, was experiencing the legendary ground for the first time. The only goal that Sevilla was able to bag as a consolation came through the likes of Peak at the 66th minute. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.